Hi everyone, so we're going to be going over another example on .map. So I made this example2.js file, and what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be doing another .map method example, but instead of actually assigning this .map to another variable, I'm just going to console log it directly within the map method. So let's set up another array here. So I'll do var array is equal to, let's make it odd numbers like 1, 3, 5, 7. And what I want to do is, let's say I just want to call the array directly. So sometimes the naming convention might not work, so I'll put array1 just so it doesn't conflict with any built-in variables or methods. So I'll do array1 dot map. You can see here when I just start typing, it already shows a bunch of different methods that will be available for me to use, but since I already use .map frequently, it'll be like one of the top searches. So if I put .map here, and what I could do is I could say x or whatever variable, let's put it as another variable, so I'll put y because the other video I put x. I just want to show you that you can put any variable pretty much right here, and then you just have to call that y variable on the other side of the arrow function. So I want to console.log each variable of y as it passes through. So let's first show what happens like this, and I'll do node example2.js. And you can see right here, if I just console log it directly, we get the numbers that are printed out directly one by one out from the array. But let's say if I want to like multiply this value or something, I could put like multiplied by 2. So each time it goes through, it'll multiply each of these numbers one at a time. It'll multiply it by 2. So we should get the value of 2, 6, 10, and 14. So let's run it. And you can see right here, we do get those values that are displayed back to us in the terminal. So as I mentioned before, you could always set it up like this if it's easier for you to read. So it's just like a loop where we're setting up like some sort of parameter here, and the brackets here that are denoting something within this parameter here, we're doing something. And we're saying take this array1, which is initialized here at the top, and use the .map method where we're going to be able to grab each value inside the array, and we're going to do something with it. So what we're doing here is we're saying y, which is like a random variable, is first the number 1, and the number 1 here is going to be passed over. This arrow function says pass it over here and do something with it. So what we're doing is we're console logging the y multiplied by 2, so y is the number 1 right now, and multiplied by 2, that is number 2. And then we're going to get to the bottom here, and you could see here when we console log this first one, we do get the value of 2. But once it gets to the bottom here, it'll be like, oh, we're at the bottom of this .map method. Okay, let's go back up to the top again. And let's look again in the array1, and let's take the value of 3. So let's make y equal to 3, and let's console log out what the value is. So we could do 3 multiplied by 2, then that'll give us 6, which is showing right here in the terminal. Then it'll go down to the bottom here of this bracket here, and it'll be like, oh, it's the end. Let's go back up to the top again. And let's look at this array1 again, but let's take the next number, which is 5. And then inside this .map, let's do something. So the y right now is number 5, and then the arrow says, okay, do something over here with the number 5, and it says console log out 5 multiplied by 2, so this should give us 10. And 10 is showing right here in our terminal. Then it's going to go back to the bottom here, and the closing bracket says, okay, it's the end. So let's look at array1, and let's take the next number, which is 7. and then it says map through, look at 7 and do something with this value of 7 and console log it when you multiply 7 by 2. So 7 multiplied by 2, this should give us 14. And when we console log it, this should give us the value of 14. Right down here, you can see in our terminal. And when you go back down to the bottom of the bracket, it will still try to check in array 1 if there's anything after the value of 7. But if there's nothing else, it already knows to stop running this .map method, and it just ends, it terminates, and you are complete.